just start this recording. Alrighty. So, as usual, I like to start off by mentioning, like, in terms of what we're progressing and what we want to do. So, I have no idea what exactly is going on this tier. I guess it's a really rough tier for some people. But if you've ever thought to look over the rankings themselves when we go over to Warcraft logs, it's not really a whole lot of course at the moment. We're looking at around 360 word kills for broodtwister, and then if we specify that to US, we're only at like 106. So this is a bit of a very shield tier, and part of the reason why I'm mentioning it's a bit of a shield tier is last week when we were going up in terms of where we ended off around like US 200 in terms of how far we had progressed into broodtwister. It's almost been like a full raid week for a good number of guilds, and we're still around like 300. Like we didn't drop down all the way to like 400 or 500, which basically means that we gained pacing relative to what I would prefer.
Nart has a lot of alts. So does Mitsu. Oh my god.
So anyways, in terms of where we're progressing, usually guilds end up hitting roughly very specific prog points. So if I was to use my other guild as reference, so I don't send Central's guild on blast, so generally guilds progress through the fight in a variety of checkpoints that I'll probably put it. The first checkpoint is around 80% of the boss's HP, and usually that's like you're doing like the first, second, and third egg breaks, and people are just learning that kind of section. And then you finally get through the last set of eggs, and you just immediately drop down the boss to like 60%, which is currently where we're at, which is basically we're finally starting up the spider section. So we're probably expecting to stay around 60% for a good while tanks and whoever else learns a bit about how these spiders work. And then we eventually will progress downwards to 55% as we're like going all the way through the spider section, and then it'll drop down to somewhere between 40 to 50%, and that's usually like we finally managed to break all the eggs in spider section, but because we missed one or a tank is dead or whatever, we just end up dying before we ever hit the worm section. So that's one of the next checkpoints that I'm hoping to hit this weekend. And then the big checkpoint that I'm expecting us to hit is to get all the way to the worm section, and that's where you see the next drop from 50% down to 30%, because essentially you pop lost and then you're just doing the initial stuff where nearly everyone has to realize like, alright, all the 3 ads are empowered. You have empowered spiders that are chucking the tanks, you have empowered parasites, which means CC and AoE DPS is important, and then you also have empowered worms, which are a 2-second kick. So that's what basically people have to fully lock in, and then after that 30% initial like getting used to the fact of like, okay, we're dealing with all of these empowered ads, you then drop down to somewhere between 5 to 20% as you're trying to wrap up the rest of the eggs in the worm section.
Is this the optional meeting?
Yes, optional.
I completely forgot about it.
No worries, that's why there's a recording. But yeah, so those are the checkpoints that we want to go. So for this weekend, what I want is I want a very smooth Olgrax to Ashenon recoil, probably like an hour at most. Although I'm probably going to be really satisfied with like 90 minutes to 2 hours for Ashenon. For calling Olgrax to Ashenon, not just Ashenon itself. In ideal world, it's just a one shot, but Ashenon does have a bit of an interesting stuff for week close, especially if I add in people who weren't necessarily there for the very first Washington kill.
Well, I mean, for the last 2 weeks alone, we haven't had Vezix, so this would be Vezix's first 2 kills on Sikrin and Rashnan.
Yeah. And I do need to check in a bit more of him in terms of like the Gearing stuff, because there was a war that exists. Well, he's going to be in for the first 2 bosses, maybe Sikrin, and then for Rashnan and beyond, he's going to have to sit out. So we'll see how he's doing. I do need to ping him to see how he's doing keys wise, because he was supposed to do keys yesterday, and then I never actually saw him. He did do keys on Tuesday though, and we did finish up 2 vault slots for 10s. So
what the hell? There's only 6 people online. What is this shit?
it's the issue of to put into wait till we get the less people want to show up for like these kinds of stuff. Which I get. It's an hour long, and some people just have their own individual prep or whatever, or like they're just expecting the wait to like talk about all of these stuff like during wait time itself. So let me see what's going to go. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to be pretty flexible in terms of what we want to do. Now, in terms of rankings, let me see. Obviously, some people aren't going to get the full context of they're just seeing me spam a whole bunch of images. Let's say that what somebody were to tank, Vezix is around, or like maybe we might like have a 3rd tank as an insurance. Let's say we get to the end of Spiders. As of current, end of Spiders is around World 560. And if we were to go into the start of Worm section, which is kind of where I want to end the week off at. Let me see, what is that? As of current, that would be World 480. Now most guilds are going to be waiting today, and there's a decent chunk that are going to be waiting tomorrow. So good chances are this will probably jump down like maybe another 50 or so rankings. For reference, using this this word ranking for 30%, if we were able to get to the Worm section, this is the current US rankings. I don't think it'll be US 160 by the time we get there on Saturday and Friday and Saturday. Oh my goodness, I almost moved the day over. But I think it's going to be relatively close to this section, and that really comes down to like how much emphasis people put into doing the egg break mechanics, and then making sure we get all the kicks and everything else is good and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of why in the announcement post I had mentioned my expectation is we're going to get to Worm section, give us a good nice leeway for the rest of the way tier by staying within US 200, and then we would progress based off of that. There was a war that exists where we kind of just pop off, but realistically, if there's even one person who's not entirely 100% on their ability to break eggs, which, what is it, with potentially me changing 3 people, there's really easy regression there. That's going to be a really rough stuff. So that's the necessarily talks about the rankings. Let me go ahead and go over to the video of our best poll, and it's going to be the poll where I kind of just fumble and I forget to move the markers because I'm so flabbergasted that we just did everything so cleanly. So let's just go into this poll for how things work.
Love that pool.
And then you also get to see what I'm actually doing on Provoco. Well, sometimes you're just going to be watching me stand still. So right off the bat, we're probably going to do the same rotation that we did last time a little bit, except instead of Wishfella, this would be Vezix taking the very first hit, and the bubble would have it afterwards. We'll probably like do this cycle just because I think it makes things the most comfortable in terms of like what what the things are doing.
I mean, there's nothing going on at the start for the initial blow up where I have AMS to protect it, so it makes more sense to let Vezix take the first one.
Yeah. And I'll briefly talk about what this stuff all are. So we go into this stuff right here. So this is the first stuff that I've been kind of DMing people about, which you'll notice that some of the range aren't necessarily as close to the melee group as possible. I'm kind of, on one hand, I'm kind of okay with it. On one hand, I would like people to be grouped up a bit more. Like, if you can see what FIP is in like the top middle of the screen, that's kind of roughly where I want the range to be stacked up. Mainly because that allows me on Preservation Evoker to, what is it? To heal everyone's centralized rather than people being all over the place. The AMC's dropped on both sides of the boss, that's totally fine. Usually most guilds end up just dropping both AMC on top of each other, but I know that there is an issue with like melees dodging these swallows. And then, what is it? For the swallows in general, like for DPS and healers, if you ever end up eating these swallows, you most likely have to health pot and health stone. That's something that I'm continuously emphasizing as I DM other people. 2 to 3 mil damage in one tick. If we're about to go into another mechanic, you most likely are dead unless you already had a 40 to 60% DR running throughout the whole entire stuff. This is a fight where you really just need to be ready to like, oh shoot, my HP dropped here and that's not an HP I should be at. I just have to send my health pot early. That's so fine. Throughout most of this section, I know that some of us are using a DR. Realistically, this should primarily be a healer stuff. I ended up looking at the logs and I have something that Topaz and Kaim are going to change in order to make this feel a bit more comfortable for people. But most of the stuff that happens during this section is basically the heal absorbs. Like you're taking 1.4 million hits each time. That's basically the tank explosion going off, assuming the tank is full HP. And because there's a 5-second gap, that's not all that bad.
So I can take my DR off this section?
Yes, you should be able to take your DR off this section, especially because if you look right over here, so Sally doesn't end up using any DR during this section just because of what I've mentioned before. And you're going to notice that, yeah, there's a whole bunch of heal absorb, but they don't end up actually dropping all that IO. Granted, I end up engulfing onto them for one of the stuff, but you see, for example, I don't use any DRs for myself. Granted, I use Emerald Communion. I'm kind of like in a healthy spot. Topaz isn't using a DR. Kaim's not using DR. All other healers aren't. Sally's not using DR. What is it? But in general, like you shouldn't need it. If anything, you can send a health plot on this. I just prefer having the DR for something else in the fight. Just because it's like, this is every 5 seconds and it's not like any dangerous overlap or like multiple abilities hitting. And right at the end of that, I end up using my stasis and then like a whole bunch of people get full HP, like Quexos at full HP, Q's at full HP. And then right here I'm going to tip the scalers, Spirit Boom. That heals up a good number of people, and then the healers are just kind of like trying to spot heal for whatever heal absorbs. Technically, these 4 heal absorbs should be gone with Kaim and Topaz changing their stuff. So that's something that shouldn't be all too bad. And then we could briefly talk about the egg break mechanic. So I'm going to once again emphasize that the egg break mechanic takes priority. In an ideal world, you're already moving that early so that you don't have to overlap this stuff. Do keep in mind, if you have everything in the recoil pack used, the default location is the top left, but there's a specific recoil that tells you who exactly your partner is. So for some people, you might end up using this information in terms of like, okay, it's this person, they're probably going to go on this side of the egg, and I can adjust around that kind of stuff. But the more important stuff is whatever the symbol is, you just are able to locate it in the field. You go there and then, what is it? There are all these swirlies. Now this swirly that pops up in like the last few seconds, your egg break mechanic hits first and then the swirly activates. So if you're a gamer and you can use the 2-second reaction speed, you can just break your egg, and as soon as your circle breaks and you took damage and you have the gigantic heal absorb, you immediately move out of this wally. Otherwise, you're just hitting a 46% DR, and you just accept, okay, this wall is going to hit me, I'm just going to help pot health stone after it hits me. Because immediately following that egg explosion, there's a tank explosion that's going to happen. And then, what is it? Let me just go over to what it actually is. I think I hit a personal. I always like to hope that I'm not like just blanking out. So I go on over, I'm 4 HP, I hit obsidian scales. That's like what, 20-40% or something. I walk over here. Boss does a tiny bit of lot damage. I get hit. I'm at 90% HP with a very large heal absorb, and then tank explosion builds up right here, and now I'm at 60% HP. 60% HP is very lovable in the event that you get a web dispel mechanic. And even though I'm getting a freedom here, this is like preferred HP for what you want to be going into the web dispel. As you can see, like nearly everyone here is at a fairly good HP. That's part of the reason why you sometimes in the raid you'll hear me complain like, oh hey, someone's just dropping to like 20% HP. That most likely means they didn't hit the personal at all, and that person is most likely going to die unless they health pot and health stone upon immediately seeing the web dispel mechanic. And then swapping topics. We're changing this stuff ever so slightly. I like messaged Topaz. I most likely messaged Dingo as well. And then I put it in Tank's chat. So what's going to happen for this set of eggs is the boss can stay here. This is kind of fine. Ideally, the tank is kind of in the middle of the hitbox where broodtwister is. And that's because when these diamond and triangle parasites get knocked over, the tank wants to be centralized so that Gorfiends will grip in everything. We had a few pulls where, with the tank being up this far up in front of the boss's hitbox, right around where the worm with the 1 is, the Gorfiends doesn't actually end up hitting some of the parasites in the back of the room, no diamond. So it's really important that we have good tank positioning in terms of where the Gorfiends is going to come out of. And then all of these should get gripped in, so right here, you notice all of them get gripped in except for these ones off to the side. And that's also possible because the tank should also lean a bit towards the store egg, just because this egg will not be getting gripped in. So tank leans a bit towards the store side. Ideally, triangle and diamond are knocking towards store, and then we just Gorfiends and grip all of them in, rather than this grip happening and then 2 parasites get missed, and then these 2 parasites are just now wreaking havoc. So this Gorfiend should have been a bit more to the left, kind of where the spider currently is, wherever this nameplate is, because missing any parasites means that they're not going to be part of the CC rotation, and then they're also not going to die in a reasonable pace. That's probably like one of the reasons why everything felt super messy. We have to work around Gorfiends being 15 yards and Sigil of Chains being 8 yards. Anyways, we do this, we have all the kick stuff. If you're a late kick, it's fine to like just watch these guys, and if you notice that they get to the last 0.5 seconds, you can just immediately kick them. Even though it's going to mess up someone else, it's still fine to kick it. If you're part of like 1 through 4 within this list of Skull and X, you shouldn't be doing that, just because you need your kick for whatever needs to happen. And then ideally this sticky webs is also like pre-immune by a few people. Less people who have this sticky webs the better, just because this sticky webs hurts a crazy amount. So we go through this, and then realistically, like heal check wise, with the exception of like healing up for the web mechanic itself, you're going to notice that there's not really a whole lot of healing required if people actually use personals at the correct time. So this section needs a whole bunch of heals in order to top us off. I release my stasis, and then a good number of people are topped off, and then the others, that's just because Kyle and Topaz had to do something different. We get through the tank, we get through the egg explosion, tank explosion is going to hit, and that's kind of all the damage that most of the raid is taking. And then it's just like one or two people getting the web mechanic, they're going to break it, and that's it. That's all the weight damage that the weight is taking. You can see we're already 4 HP. It's not a whole lot of healing requirement for this fight. So this is what proper personal usage looks like, and that's why we're 3 healing. I know some people might ask for a 4th healer because like they mess up their personals, but it's really bad if we have to go down that route. Alrighty. So we go through this section. We're going to kill this last set of worms. We have a whole bunch of parasites. Again, it's because the Gorfings didn't grip everything in, and they weren't part of the CC rotation, which means that now they're kind of just wreaking havoc all over the place. So we go on over. Just what damage every now and then. We grab all of these dispelled webs, and then we go into the second egg break. So this second egg break, we once again have some parasites by diamond, some parasites by triangle. We're going to evoke a knock and typhoon them over. And ideally, because of the fact that these eggs are a lot closer together, if we're running a Vengeance Demon Hunter, this would be where our Sigil of Change is. And I'm probably going to have to remind it. So like, ideally these knocks happen, and then it's Sigil of Change right in the middle of all these guys, and then it's like sweep into Chaos number once more. If need be, we can run over the tank with a second body K, and we can put another Gorfine's Hail, but realistically we should plan around the 2 tank, and this being the Sigil of Change one, just because it's the easier one to Sigil of Change. So then we chain those all together. We don't end up having a Sigil of Change for this one, so they're kind of all over the place. Some get CC'd, some don't. And then you just see like people running all over the place. Like I feel I'm about like cover just because I notice that this fixate is like running towards me. A little bit, we're going to finish this set of parasites and worms. And I marked up the new ones. What is it? This is one stuff to note. In the event that the parasite does chase you down and it does start ingesting you, right here, this debuff right here, that last 10 seconds, you're basically having to just pop everything that you have left over, because the raw damage from the parasites doing whatever the infestation is, yeah, that happens pretty quick. And you see right here, like, this stuff hits me, I hit my health pot, I'm getting ready to like hit my health stone as need be, but currently I don't really need it. I don't end up getting any of the mechanics, which is fine. And then this set would be Gorfines. And then what is it? This one's pretty simple because there's just one worm. It's just a 2-second long cast. Just realistically a spot well because it's just a skull marker. X can like freely kick, but realistically it's just let skull kick. We do one more priest spread, and right here should be when I should be marking, except like I'm looking over because I have to do a dispel because someone's not self-dispelling themselves. And right there you kind of almost saw me, I pinged over there, and then I'm just sitting here looking at stuff, and then I completely forget to mark these eggs. It's going to be the same pattern each time, so if you always remember that star is on the left, circle is on the right, diamond is right near the boss, and then triangle is like all the way over. That's going to happen the same way for each pattern, in the event that I forget. But once again, this is just black blood. You should not need personals for this one. This one should be the same stuff. What is it? We should have a wild growth from Topaz. There's going to be a Convoke attached to it. Kaim should have Halo, which isn't aligned heal, which is like the biggest HP heal. And then we should get through this for the most part. This is also a fine point where like if somehow you still have your health plot, you're totally good to like use it. I don't have stasis just because of other stuff going on. And yeah, I'm not going to like complain about people moving around for the marks just because like I am missing it. And then we have this would be the 3 spider set. Okay, so that's we've talked about our stuff. I do have other stuff I want to mention, but I want to go over a VOD. Let me actually grab the tank VOD. And let me use that first instead of the file HPOV. So let me see. So this tank, I believe this is the second tank, so this is basically the same taunt timings as Bubba.
You're gonna link this video in actual raid chat, yeah?
It's in the broodtwister channel, but yes,
Okay.
I can link this video as well. Let me just go ahead and do that. Okay. But yeah, what is it? So you see, it moves over. They put the boss in between stall and circle, and then the tank is specifically leaning towards circle, but it's kind of like it's basically right next to this egg. And then as soon as everything gets moved over, they go fiends, and then what is it? During this section, I believe this you always have this. Let me see. Is this the current tank that has volatile concoction? Okay, I believe this is the same stuff that you do, which is you AMS and then Wisha has the tank at this point. Is that correct, or?
Yes, that is what happens.
Okay. So in this case, hello. So in this case, we go fiends, and then we have all these spiders out. Realistically, what is it? I think it's totally fine for whichever tank. It should be whichever tank is currently having the boss. That one is also picking up the spiders. So in this case, Bubba, you have the debuff, so you would AMS the last 4 seconds, you go fiends, and then Basics is trying to pick up every single spider that's up. And eventually, probably into this, I deal with all these spiders are dead by the time this volatile concoction finishes. Otherwise,
Yeah, they weren't. So what was happening was after I lost my debuff and was not gonna kill the raid, I was starting to taunt them off of.
yeah. What you should be doing is, because you know that Wistral, or in this case Vesix, is eventually going to get the debuff, you start taunting these spiders off of him. And you're just trying to generate aggro off these spiders. And then whenever the debuff actually does come up, then you would taunt the boss. So yes, that is a very good thing to do. Let me see. I want to say even without the knocks, Sigil of Change should get all of these, but we're still going to knock this anyways. Just so that everything is closer to store and Physics doesn't have any issues hitting Sigil of Change on everything. So here everyone goes over to their stuff. Right here Vesix would have the boss. So he's going to Sigil of Change, and then because you don't have the debuff at this point, well, you would be trying to grab whatever spiders.
Yep.
And then eventually, pull way through this, you end up taking the boss. Yep, just like what this tank is doing. So this one, you'd be starting off with the spider aggro. Right. And then we eventually they scooch them on over. And this one you can what is it? You position the boss in this way, and then I think every single time you didn't even wait for the typhoon, you just immediately just go fiend, which is totally okay.
I was following that. So there's a timer that was saying, pull in X number of seconds.
Oh,
And when that was happening, when that timer was running out, was when I was hitting it. So in our weak orders, there is a timer that's telling me when to Gorfiend.
Alright, cool. I'll remove that off of the stuff for Q stuff then. For the note for when he has the body decay.
Now, mind you, it was coming up with every single
it comes up
set.
It comes in every single set, and you just have to recognize as a tank like which one is mine and which one isn't. So yes, there's that stuff. Let's see. They go back here, they're going to get one more volatile concoction, and then it once again resets the pattern, so then you would have the tank right here. You don't have to do this movement, they're just trying to like maximize the time for the boss moving over. It is like extra damage on the tank. So if you're able to do that safely, you can, otherwise don't even bother it. It just adds an extra 2 seconds to enrage or for CDs to come back up, but it doesn't change much at the end of the day. So I'm just going to like go in very specific stuff for like tank stuff, as well as like howlers. So we have these stuff marked. There's only 2 parasites. It's going to be on triangle and store. So you once again drag it back towards store, and then you're kind of centered on store. And as soon as the evoker knocks these parasites over, basics would hit Sigil Chains. And then what is it? Whenever your debuff runs out, this is when probably you would end up taking all of these spiders.
Yeah, that's a terrifying
Yeah.
scenario for me, but that'll be a I need God
Yeah.
situation.
From the looks of things, well, they're doing something really interesting. So what they're doing is they're having the other tank take all the spiders, and then you would stay on the boss even with the volatile concoction debuff, and you just have to time it so that you heal up right at the tail end of what is it?
Yeah, that might be a Healthstone health pot situation.
Yeah, this is if you and Besix decide that it's better that Besix just takes all the spiders, and then you're just going to keep the boss with the concoction, and you're just going to Healthstone or Death Strike right before the debuff runs out. That's kind of a tank decision stuff. I'm not going to like really complain on too much. I just want something that works. So if you feel that it's easier for you to start taking all the spiders, or for Besix to take all the spiders, that's totally fine. Just because the spiders will live for quite a while. And then this set, in a similar manner, the triangle and store ads are pretty close together. So this one you can technically wait for the evoker knock, but realistically you could probably just go fiends. Wait roughly where this tank is currently standing. Looks like they're using a macro for using Gorfiends on the boss instead of at the player, which both are fine. And
yeah, it depends on where you're standing, I guess.
Yeah, it's totally fine to use the Gorfiends on yourself. I know a good number of tanks actually end up doing that. And then for this specific set, when we're tanking it, in an ideal world, what's going to happen is this worm on store and the worm on circle are going to be the highest priority to kill. And as soon as these worms end up dying, so like this tank is hooking at the store worm, it's hooking at the circle worm. As soon as these 2 worms die, they're going to drag it over to the triangle, the diamond worm. Was it? When the store worm died, they ended up dragging it in between diamond and circle, which is totally fine. It just makes it a lot easier to like cleave. And then let me double check who has the debuff for this specific section. It looks like, okay, I see. So the reason why they had the other tank, so in this case it would be Besix tanking the spiders, is because right here Besix would have the concoction debuff, and then you'd be grabbing the spiders, so you want a free CD for this section. So that's something that you can think about with him.
Alright.
And then we go into the last set of eggs, and this is probably where I'm expecting Plug to stop on for this weekend. If not on Friday, it'll be Saturday, which is Parasites in the middle, which basically means that we could still Sigil change this, just to make sure that they're all stacked up together. But realistically, it's just 3 spiders that you have to deal with. So let's see. So they're going through this section. now going over. And some of the web dispels, you'll notice that they go out into the void zone. This is important for DPS to know. You can just hit a very big personal that you have left over. Assuming that you'll have something for the next egg break, and you just dispel out here. Otherwise, if you don't have a personal, you need to lean more towards the side of the arena that doesn't have a void zone. Because if you try to run towards triangle, it's going to be very rough because there's not a whole lot of space for you to use. So we go through that. It looks like Physics would have this debuff for another 1.5 seconds, and then it's going to expire. So Bubba's going to be on the broodtwister. He should eventually going to get concoction, and you have to decide how you're going to handle this spider with whatever tank defensive. I'm going to assume that it's probably going to alternate where it's like Physics, Bubba, Physics, but I don't know if you have like a different plan.
No, my plan is pretty much that we should be swapping.
Okay. It might not necessarily be in the order that I mentioned, because realistically, like, you have a whole bunch of seconds like right here before the volatile concoction debuff pops up. And realistically, it's just the tank that's taking damage aside from this next web dispel. So this is a section where all three healers should just be focusing on the tank. Like, even though you have, what is this? It looks like there's 2 stacks of 10% healing reduce, so 20% healing reduction. You have 3 healers that basically they're done healing the raid. So realistically, like, even though the tank drops like really low, this is a section where they should just be focusing. And then they do drop an AMC here, just because they recognize that the tank is dropping low and they just want to make sure that the melees live. Yeah, this is a really spooky section. And then we can drag it here. I know some groups like drag it even further in, but we don't have to go all that deep into the section. And then we'll talk about the very last section right here. This is like the what is it? This is like my expectation point. So what's going to happen is Ingest Black Blood is going to finish, and then as soon as that cast finishes, we're going to do an early lost to get us all settled. For them, they end up waiting a few seconds afterwards. We're just going to send a lost out gas inside and just Black Blood is finished. Just for some catch up. And then for this set, what is it? This set would be Gorfiends, and you need to position in a way where, what is it? Let me check. Is this actually the way we're dropping our markers? I want to say yes, this matches up, but I do know that Liquid and the other stuff have a different. Yes, this is correct. So basically, with this, you want to position yourself in a way that you're in between triangle and diamond, and we're going to like try to knock them into the boss. You can kind of technically just stand on top of the boss because you don't have to like worry about something coming from all the way near the canister. And this is the spooky section for DPS because essentially you have 3 different worms. They all have 2-second long casts, and they just have to be kicked constantly because the tank is dealing with 2 spiders. There's a good chance that the tank is going to drop way too low if a cast goes off. And this tank drag, I want to also copy. What is it? Just because we're going to be going to the other side later on, we should be dragging the boss in between what should be star and triangle on the left side of this, and then the circle worm. What is it? The circle worm's just going to be left over. In terms of the kicks, the circle worm is the skull marker. So anyone assigned to skull marker, it's going to be off the boss. Anyone assigned X and square, it's going to be right next to the boss. And this is most likely what we're going to wipe a good number of times as people get used to the idea of like, hey, these casts. Oh no, I lost connection.
It's okay, Mart's got you.
Let me see, how do I change this? How do I switch this back on over? God damn it. I still haven't asked stuff about how to do this. I found it like a while back. So if I click on this button. Oh yes, there we go. Alrighty. There we go. Let me just go on back to make a point. So this is probably like the most dangerous section of the raid. I will mention also, this ingest black blood most likely will not align with your CDs except for Halo. So this is a section where a lot of guilds basically mandate that after the last hit of ingest black blood, everyone has a health potion. So you wait for all of the, you wait for this whole entire cast to finish, and then you immediately health pot at the very end of it. You can see like probably a good 3 to 5 people ended up using health pots. But it's just a general good timing to use. And then let me see. In this section, basically people just need to make sure that they live and we're just doing as many of the mechanics as possible. And then if we somehow get the boss through this section, to keep in mind this is like pre-nerf. The boss is missing like 15% HP now. So this would, we're not going to like hit the same set of effects all yes hit, but this boss would be at like 13% right here. And this comes down to the very last egg set that we should be doing. We might have to do the third egg set, but realistically we're going to play out this egg set and then that's going to be it. So we drop all the dispels. And then we have this very last egg break. So this very last egg break features 3 sets of parasites, 2 worms, 2 spiders. So once again, whoever is assigned to skull and cross for kicks, I need them to be very on their game. Because it's very easy to be like, oh my goodness, the boss is at sub 10%, we're about to kill it. I'm just going to tunnel vision on the boss, and then you like completely miss your kick, and all of a sudden the raid just blows up out of existence. Really important though, this is a big lock-in section. And then once these spiders and worms are done, we'll go to this last section, and then in this very last section of the arena, I'm going to make a split call on whether we're actually going to do this egg set or not. If we are, I just care about these 3 eggs that are close to the void zone that's growing. This diamond egg, I don't care if it breaks, so I might reassign diamond, but realistically, I'm just going to like mark these 3 eggs. I'm going to say like, we can break all 4 eggs, but realistically, we just want these 3 eggs because it's 1 spider, 2 worms, and then as long as we're continuously kicking the worms, and then the spider's not like causing havoc to the tank, we just focus boss and we kill. Now the reason why I said that I'm going to have to make a split call is if we have the DPS, we have to play this section out. So do come in with the expectation of like, we are going to have to play out this section. The 3 worms we're going to have to kick. We're going to be starting on, what is it, the diamond and circle. It's a slight difference from this video. And these would be marked skull and cross. So square 1, the square worm is going to be out in Narnia, and I'm basically going to have to trust those 4 or 5 people to just get their kicks on CDs. But yeah, as for stuff that I want to emphasize, I'm just going to go over to the next video. Oh my goodness, there's ads here? What the heck? Do I trigger the ads if I just skip past it? No, it doesn't. Really important emphasis. If you get a web, you self-clear. Try not to have the healers do it when possible. And just black blood, you realistically shouldn't have to use a personal heal. If you're going to have to eat or slowly, you do need to hit a personal, or you have to be ready to health pot or health stone in reaction to it. No one should really die during this section. We've already talked about the healer change. Egg breaks are a very high priority. And then, what is it? Ideally, don't try to double stack this. And this egg break, this very first one in each section, must have a personal attached to it. The rest you can kind of just get by with at full HP. So if we get to one of these eggs and you don't have a personal, this is where you need to call out X needs an external. And then kicks are important, you see rotation is important, killing the parasites pretty quick. And then spiders or whatever, you just cleave onto them. For this second section, the second egg break in each one, it's always going to be web into egg break. You do not need a personal for any of these mechanics. If you have a freebie personal that you can use, it's totally fine to send it, but this does not need a personal attached to it. There's no big danger stuff to this, because what's going to happen is egg break mechanic happens, you have the heal absorb, and by the time this next dispelled mechanic pops up, which you can probably tell by his images timing, most of the way to be in a healthy enough spot that you can live this web without needing anything. And then when we go to the third eggs, once again, this egg set should not need personals on either. So unless you're already really ill, this section you should be fine to like make do with whatever. I know for rogues they usually kill on this set just because they're in King's Bane, so they don't want to get this web mechanic if they don't have the what is it? If they don't have the egg break mechanic, they pre-kill to prevent this mechanic from popping up so that they can do the full King's Bane rotation. But yeah, this section should not need personals at all either. So realistically, there's two main sections of the fight where you should always be keeping track of personals. It is what is it? It's this ingest black blood in the event that I call for it, or you're about to eat a swirly. And then the second, well, I would say that this is second priority for the ingest black blood. Your highest priority is you get the egg break mechanic after ingest black blood, you hit the personal because it overlaps with the web mechanic. It's not because we just had the ingest black blood, it's literally because there's a web mechanic. I believe this, what is it? Some specs always will freedom or pre-AMS or pre-kill for these ones, but that kind of depends on how the DPS is setting up their rotation. But that is like the number one most dangerous section in terms of personal usage. Whatever personal usage you have planned for this fight, if somehow you get into this section and you don't have a single personal up, you've really screwed up. So that's my note, and I'll most likely emphasize it during raid. Okay, but that's Broodtwister itself. Again, I'm emphasizing all of this stuff because if we pop off, we do probably somewhere in the ballpark of 40 to 60 pulls this weekend. We could very easily see a good chunk into the Worm Quadrant, and we could be like very easy to be on page 2 club by next Friday. But we decide that we're not going to give these mechanics as much serious attention as they can. We could just be like Censor's Guild, who's like pushing up for like 180 pulls, and they're only at like 7%. So it's really up to the guild on how much you're really doing. And if someone's messing up, it's totally fine to like mention like, hey, X person just keeps dying here, can we do something about it? I know that they're probably going to take it a bit negatively, but what is it? It's something that I also notice, and I usually like try to whisper about, or I'll mention it midway through later, like, hey, you're probably messing something up with your personal usage, or how you're doing the mechanic. As for, let me see, can I get a post note video? I just want to grab the timer.
Hey guys, so here.
Oh yeah, let me just grab a random video. Once again, muting it on my end. I am just going to speed on along. I'm going to emphasize the stuff with the swallow timings, because they are different if you look at like really old videos. These swallows are going to come up at 2 seconds before the egg break mechanic happens. You egg break first and then you dodge. If it's one of these like very early swallows, you might just have to eat the swallow, in which case you just pop your biggest, you just basically pop the kitchen sink. You just give up on everything and you're just prioritizing the egg break mechanic, because the egg break mechanic will guarantee us that we wipe. So that's the first egg stuff. The swallow ends up like coming either on the egg break mechanic itself, or it's going to hit like 1-2 seconds after. For the second egg break, you're going to notice that these swallows are going to pop up as the egg break mechanic is actually happening. So these swallows shouldn't be as big to deal with. Just be very careful if you're like walking under the ads and you somehow can't see the swallows. And then the third egg break mechanic, I believe the swallows happen before the mechanic actually activates. Yeah, so these swallows hit the ground. If it's one of the late swallows, you'll have like 1 second to react, which should not be all that bad. And in an ideal world, what is it? Like, in an ideal world, these people shouldn't be stacked. You want to try like minimize the stack. If you have to stack, that's fine. Usually that's more so on like the double eggs. If it's not a double egg, well, it's very tight positioning, you really shouldn't be doing this, because you'll watch like this in Rogue. They basically just drop down to like, what is this, 34%, and then the tank explosion happens and then they drop down to 6%. Granted, there's no extra damage after they drop down to 6%. Like there's the actual lots of damage that the boss does every now and then, but that only took this rogue down from 6% to 2%. So it's not all that bad. We should be good on that. As for roster, I'm still debating on the roster. I have Saturday's roster set up. Let me go ahead and grab that. I'm kind of still debating on Saturday's roster, but let me go ahead and grab this. Oh my goodness, I lost connection once more. I'm going to take it back and we're just going to pause the video. I'm going to keep this as a tentative roster for Saturday. What is it? So Feely's out, Bubba's out, Mitsu's out. So this is the roster that I'm most likely going to work with. We do have Sparkles and Sally on the side, but this is the roster I'm currently thinking of working with, but it could very easily change after Friday's recalls. So I have to see. But I think for the most part I'm going to commit to this. This is with Q tanking, just ignore the fact that like I'm too lazy to like put his DK on here. And then I will post the rest of the week course later on. I have like a few people who messaged me saying, hey Ryder, I want to be in for every single boss or yada yada yada, and now I'm trying to like figure out If there's any boss that like people want in a lot for, it's Shikwen. Well, at least for the way that I currently have things designed. Yeah.
I'm fine with sitting Zikrin.
Okay. Let me see. I
I
might reorganize.
don't think I
some
need
stuff.
anything from him.
I might reorganize stuff because what is it? Because if you sit for Shikwen, then you only have 2 bosses, and you already mentioned you want to put that on your Frost DK. So that would mean that your rogue wouldn't have a mythic ball slot. So we'll see. I have a few people who like I'm debating on. Mainly just because I'm looking forward in the raid, and things do not look pretty. Let me see. Is there a recent video for this? Wait, is there a recent video without someone's face in it?
5.
Let me just use why I'm cautious. And realistically, I hate doing this, but I'm most likely going to request for 3 or 4 people to basically take themselves off the roster, or I'm going to like put them as bench players and bench players
Goodbye,
only.
Chief.
Cause Kaiveza, alright, you're going to see that these people are targeted with debuffs. They're all going to get hit. Actually, is this? Wait, I want an actual video of like someone who does something closer to how things are being done currently. Let me just open this and see.
Thing is, it might be fine. We'll just
1.
Oh my goodness, I want. Am I grabbing another file mage POV for this?
For this fight,
Okay, actually, we'll grab this and rogue again. You're free to mute them. Alright. Now, I want you to be aware in this video, if you look at the bottom, you'll notice this is 5 heals. We are indeed 5 healing this fight. And I'm going to emphasize this right now. This mechanic pops up. These 5 people are all hitting personals. I want you to know how much damage they're taking even with a personal. And with 5 healers in the raid. Like, their HPs are kind of like just constantly fluctuating. Granted, it's fluctuating at like near 100%, but that's because people are just sending stuff on CD. We go into the next set of mechanics. There's dash. This dash is like very precise. Like you have to go to a very specific spot, and if we have someone who's like constantly lost, like you probably saw like the ground actor stuff, like him just not being able to locate his stuff. This is like a very easy bench spot. But you notice like these people are like taking down a good ways, and this is with a personal. I'll let you know right now. You see that this hunter almost ends up dying, and this is just from the ticks and the explosion. They're at 21%, and that's with survival up. I know. What is it? It's survival. Yeah, survival of the fittest. So that's what 30% DR. Same with this lock. This lock, what is it? This lock has like unyielding will up, whatever the DR one is, and they drop all the way down to 35%, and there's still the 10% execution. So
That's impossible.
oh my god. What is it? So this fight, not only is it very precise, like you're taking the dashes to a very specific spot. There is no other spot that you are taking this dash to, and you are dropping your orbs out in linear and paying attention to what order that it comes out while like also dodging these daggers and hitting your personal usage. I'll let you know right now, the first 40 pulls is most likely just watching people die just because they don't actually realize how big the Queen's Bane damage is.
So Okay, so the guy with the dash, they just bring it to their marker each time?
We'll talk about it later, but there's a marker that you bring it to, and then the second one you just send it all to the boss. I'll explain it more when we actually get to this fight for how the mechanic actually proceeds. But
Okay, yeah,
It-
I see.
it's a
What they're
very
doing here.
precise like dance stuff. You see, like these people are like dropping to 50% HP, and this is they're then going to be up for like a good 20 or 30%. Like even with 5 heals, it is very spooky how some people are dropping, and it's not. This is also a fight where like you do have to be ready to ask for an external if you end up getting targeted multiple times, and you're just like, I'm all out of defensives. I just need God. And for Starry Night, we're going to have pre-assigned spread spots for this. And also make sure that you never walk like too close to the boss. Make sure you always like max melee, because I believe unlike on Heroic, where when you walk too close to the middle, it just bounces you out. If you walk too close to the middle, you just instantly die.
Okay, good to know.
Let me double check. I'm trying to see if like someone gets like bounced out, but I didn't see any of that stuff. So we'll have like pre-assigned spots for this, but this is also a spot where like you are just watching like people just getting absolutely their faces slammed in. This is like a second high prime use a personal ability to health pot or health stone, and have some plan of how to work around it. Like one dash, you drop down to like 50% HP.
With
And
no personals.
That's with personals. So imagine you take 50%, you're using like a 30-40% DR. If you don't have a DR up for this, you're probably going to drop to like 15% HP, and then the 5-10% lot damage will most likely take you into execution range. So it's very important that you are very solid on your personal usage. This is a fight where basically, unless we get there with different tuning, we're most likely going to be playing this on the Hall of Fame version, which means that your personal usage needs to be very on point. And not only does your personal usage need to be on point, but your DPS also needs to be on point because of the fact that we are running 5 healers. Granted, we do get the Shrines buff next week, but yeah. I'm just emphasizing it because it's like broodtwister. Broodtwister is already a good step up for a good number of people. High Ves is going to be an even bigger step up in terms of like how precise you need to be, and I do need people to like not tilt and just be able to like, okay, I made X mistake, I just fix it next time around, and not just like tilt into oblivion. But yeah,
I feel like I've gotten better at not tilting, so.
yeah, what is it? Like, you can see above, well, I'm basically like posting all this stuff of like, oh hey, broodtwister, there's only like 350 word cores. I'm gonna let people know right now, there are guilds out there that are just BOE farming. They're not even attempting broodtwister and Caraveza, and then there are other guilds where they basically decided to just stop at broodtwister and Caraveza, and they're done with mythic raiding. So, unlike previous thoughts of Silken Court, it's going to be where guilds are basically dying out. We're actually at the point of like where people were for like T-Swift and guilds disbanding and all that kind of stuff. So
That's kind of crazy.
yeah, do keep in mind of like this higher skill requirement for like the wage. Like I think, like personally speaking, I know that we spent like 40 pulls of broodtwister, but realistically, if we don't include like the 10 to 20 pulls of what is it? Let me see, how much did we do on Friday? Because like, what is it? We killed last time, and people were all like, oh yeah, let's take a break, or like, let's go to Kaibiz, and I was like, yeah, no. So we did like 6 pulls of broodtwister, so what is it? If we include the 6 pulls of broodtwister for Friday, and then we had like maybe 10 to 15 pulls of initial just broodtwister, just people actually recognizing the weak law, and then me not bumbling over the waymark, the word marker stuff. We're kind of making very good pacing with like 30 to 40 pulls. We have 42 pulls total, but realistically, I'd probably consider closer to 30 pulls of fog.
When I'm swapping to Blood DK, is the easiest way to get the spider just like taunt grip?
Yes. Unless Papa has something different.
For the spiders?
Yeah.
Yeah, to like quickly get aggro on them all.
Yeah, to get them all, the best way is to taunt one, grip one, grip one. But you're it's come the second area, you're gonna want to split them with Vezix. It doesn't matter if it, like because there's once it gets that necrotic on you, there is no saving you. You will be popping everything and you won't be able to heal yourself. And with Blood DK, that's the way you work, right? You work through your own
Yeah.
self heal. So like it's gonna be rough. Like no word of a lie, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, it's just the spots where I need to hold them. I'm just thinking like to quickly get them all. I'm assuming it's just taunt grip.
Yeah, taunt grip's the way to go. There's no other real method to do it.
Yeah. Like when you come to this 3 spider section, it's basically going to be a taunt grip. What is it? What'll most likely happen for this specific section is we're going to go into it. I know people are going to die here just because like I'm walking really last minute. Bubba gets the debuff, you'd hit AMS at the last 4 seconds. This one basic would have the boss, and then your taunt grip on the 3 spiders.
Yeah, you might want to hold off until you get your gore fiends in, because if you're trying to do too many, at least for me, if I'm trying to do too many things at once, I'm gonna fuck something up for sure. Since the mechanic isn't coming out right away onto Vezix, you have a little bit of time. But like, make sure you get the gore fiends because that's the most important thing. Get the AOE grip in for all the CCs, and then taunt grip.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Makes sense for sequencing.
Yeah. I can actually go back to like the very first one. Well, this is.
That is.
Oh, there goes someone.
It was Mark.
Oh, I see. What's going on? It is getting there that time. But yeah, like right here, you have the debuff, you had AMS first. It's very important that this Scorpions gets hit first. And then after this, you would want to grab the spiders. I'm most likely going to assign a misdirect or a tricks. And then it will specify a tank. And then I have to update the node as the tanks figure out they want to do something different. So like this set of spiders, this will most likely go onto Bubba.
Yep.
So I would have a tricks or a misdirect assigned to Bubba. And the reason why I didn't talk about that during raid is we go over to this next section. Bubba has the debuff. And then technically this set is also Bubba's for the spiders. Actually, let me see. It's Bubba's up until the point when he gets the debuff. Right here, all the spiders spawn. This debuff pops up. Actually, yeah, it still would be Bubba. He would just take broodtwister along with these spiders. And we go into the very last section. And in this section, what is it? After this volatile concoction goes off, boom, spiders spawn. This would be when Vezix would be getting the misdirecting tricks. And this is why I didn't specify like, oh hey, you're misdirecting or tricking the same person. Because it changes based off of the egg set, not I think it's always probably going to follow that order. Actually, no.
But yeah, because I know like once we were moving into the next section, like I was letting Ristra take the aggro, so that it would be the exact same pattern, was that he would be able to get the first one.
Yeah, it should be the exact same pattern. But yeah, we'll aim to do that. We'll see how far it goes.
hoping for quick. I actually want to. I actually want to get to prog it on this fight because it actually seems like one of the more tank involved fights of the raid.
Yes. This is pretty tank involved. The next fight is pretty tank involved. Silken Court.
Well, not much because like it's yes, I need to be positioning the boss in the specific spot to intersect with the right dashes, but it's not as utility intensive. It's just
Oh,
you know
yeah.
I gotta stand at the
Yeah,
spot.
This is like very specific standing stuff. I know people hate this reference, but because I don't have a lot of WoW experience because I started in Dragonflight, usually I refer to these fights as like the very Final Fantasy-esque, where you're dragging the boss to like very specific stuff. You're positioning in a way that's very specific to the mechanics themselves.
Yep.
Like it's very set in stone. Like yeah, you have your like the RNG of like you don't know which dash you have right here, but like once you have this dash, it's like okay, I go to a very specific spot and I just stand here.
Yeah, and it's the tank needs to recognize okay, where is the Queen's Bane dash? Okay, I got to intersect that. The first one, and then what? The second one is just keep them in the middle, or is it two intersects then the middle?
It's intersect in the middle. So basically, what is it? So I'll briefly talk about this, even though I said I wasn't going to talk about Kaibezu. So you saw the fight. It's going to be like a skull marker, no X as well, but the tank always strikes at 2 skull X first, and then we do this portal second stuff. And then after this portal second stuff, the tank is basically looking around and saying, okay, which ones are the death mask ones? There is a setting to make it more obvious, like you probably can't really tell that it's what is it? In this current image, it's very hard, but it's the top left and the top right one that are death mask.
See, there was a video, one earlier that you had up that like it was glowing red.
Yes, actually, let me get these.
Because if you can get me that kind of trivializes it. Because like one of the videos I was seeing had the death masks ones were glowing red.
Yeah. Let me grab like a tank POV. It's actually the Echo one, and then I will give you the stuff for it.
Okay. I gotta go, but I think I
we're done with the.
will do my best.
Yeah, we're done with the raid discussions. We're just oh my goodness, we're just doing like actual conversations. Again, optional meetings are only like 1 hour. I'm just going over extra stuff, just because like we just tangent on to other stuff. But yeah.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah, so like those two, the bottom left, bottom right, they're glowing red.
Yes.
I'm assuming those are the death mask ones.
Yep. So this is not default settings.
Okay, so how do I get that?
Alright, this is tank specific. So I just posted in tank chat. You have to change your graphic options to certain stuff. So you're turning anti-aliasing to none and outline mode to high, and that gives you this big yelling stuff on them.
Graphics are anti-aliasing. Okay, so I'll make sure I have that done then, because that like having that visible like that trivializes it.
Yeah. So that's something that the tank would do, because otherwise what ends up happening is you have it like this enhanced shaman will let me go to the dashes. Like you can look at all of these guys. It's not obvious right away that the bottom left and the bottom right are the death mask. Like it's pretty.
I mean they're slightly darker.
Yes, they're slightly darker, and then they have like a very brief red tint, like near the eyes.
Yeah, like because the video is paused, I'm able to reference each one of them and see that okay, those bottom two are the ones. But imagine like once we're moving here, I lost it.
Yeah, but yeah, it's basically people are going to do the dashes. I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably going to be the one section where people are going to have one of the issues, which is like actually like outright fully disengaging. I will call people out for the agreed. Tank always goes to circle for this one. I mentioned that last week as well. And then the next one, you just take it directly in the middle.
And does that pattern repeat? Is it always
Yes.
X circle middle?
It'll always be. What is it? It'll always be X circle middle, and then I believe it's store for the last one. Yeah, it's store for the last one. So you'll always do that same pattern every single time.
Okay.
X circle middle store. Unless someone messes up, in which case you're just going to have to listen to me as I'm trying to like call out the adjustment.
Well, let's hope no one messes up, because
This is a very precise fight where
yes,
it's going to be one of those fights where when someone makes a mistake, I'm going to call them out. I know that people might get like a bit antsy because of it. And then during this section, I'll let you know right away. Who is Kaibezo?
Did somebody say mess up?
someone say my middle name.
Oh my god.
I'm here.
For intermission, there's actually set in stone spots for where you're going to basically be dancing around. So if I assign you, like, for example, 5 in this image, you basically find X, you're just hugging no X the whole entire intermission.
Yeah, because you only need to sidestep back and forth across that simple line.
Yes. And otherwise you
I
just...
keep trying to communicate that to the other group, and you got people who are like running laps around the boss.
Yeah. But this is basically like you want to try to minimize the movement. With exception of like the classic Phylac, you're caught in someone else's blaze. You just walk along your blaze. Try not to move it up any more than it needs to. You're just going left or right. Or whatever direction your blaze is, up, down, diagonal, whatever.
In this picture, can I be entrance?
You want to be Oh, I will mention, in the event that I call for a wipe, for the tank, you're just dragging the boss to the entrance.
Yep,
and you're
that's the reset.
Yeah, you're trying to
So
drag it
drag
as
the
quick
boss-
as possible. But
Yeah, it'll be taunt and death's advance, and I just go.
Yep, you're just going to ignore the fact that some other people might die in the process. You just gotta book it to the entrance. You gotta get the boss.
Some people may die, but all for the greater good.
But yeah, we'll talk about
Actually-
this boss more so next week.
I'm gonna be 15.
I'm gonna be 15. What the heck?
Wait, can I be 1?
No, once. Usually you assign 1 and 7 to the tank. Ideally,
Shit.
but we're most likely going to assign 7 to something like 7 and 8 to like a wet paladin or something. Or like wet paladin each pal, just because like they can disengage a bit when need be.
I like 15 or 16. That's my comfy spot. That's where I put my portal.
But yeah, we'll discuss this boss later on. Again, the primary focus at the moment is broodtwister. Guilds are either calling this in 70 pulls, or the average is like 100 to 150, which is why I said expect to call it next week, not this week, if we can maintain good pacing. And then guilds that are showing really hard are approaching like 200 plus pulls.
Did you
Well,
get
it's
a
a
chance
lot of-
to look at? Sorry, go for it.
Oh, you go, man. You go.
Did you get a chance to look at my AOE ramp?
Oh, I haven't fully looked at it yet. That's why I didn't
Okay.
DM you so far.
That's fair.
But yeah, what is it? The only stuff I will mention is, based off of like looking at the logs of people doing a similar ramp, I think the AoE rotation that you're trying to do basically just evens out throughout the whole entire one, and you're not just trying to like nuke one set, which, for a few of the roster stuff, I think it should be fine.
Yeah, I simmed some stuff and then tried to cook with some of the talents. And the talents I'm running is lower than what a lot of people are running. So I'm gonna swap to what a lot of people are running. And then I check some other talents for like implosion based damage and swap some stuff around. Didn't end up working out in Sims, so. But I think tighter grouping is huge for implosion damage, and then some of the other stuff is just my timing. But my main question was, if I believe you said Bo was nuking the second set,
Yes.
should I hold Tyrant on pool just to generate a little bit more and then nuke the first set?
Let me see. I think the first set is fine. Like, realistically, you see this white creep ones out. Chaos Nova should be hitting shortly after we have Ocean's Vortex here. This set is kind of fine. I would mainly want the next 10 or 20% heal for the parasites. And I want to see that with Gil by itself, we should be good. But
Okay.
Because
I can probably, if I hold for like 15-ish seconds, I can Tyrant extend like 10 imps and then generate a bunch more by the exact time that those pop up, and then I could just implode and nuke it.
Let me double check something. Just for what our roster is going to have. Because while we're T-tanking with Bubba and Vesix, again assuming Vesix has the correct eye level, this very first set, if Q swapping to Frost Decay, he's literally just going to kill this set. This set does not exist.
Okay.
And then, what else is there? Technically, Mort could also kill this set as well. Although usually, I think most Demon Hunters, they're meddling on pole and then those aiming to hit the third set. And then it would be, what is it? It would be second set on the spider section and first set on worm section. So third set should be covered by Mort. What do we have for Fury Warrior?
Essentially, the main things I saw from like my POV, was some people were double imploding, and I think that brings some value. So that's something I gotta try or start doing. And then it was mainly just grouping and like timing. So you just Bile Scourge dogs implode and then double implode after a couple hands.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
No Ristra, no Colossus.
What do you mean?
so hopefully there should be some differences. If there is not differences, and I don't notice, let me know, and I could just swap to Destra for more like brain dead AoE.
Okay.
So, right, about my Colossus gameplay, because we know I'm not able to play Fury.
I mean, you could go with that. You might just. What is it? If it doesn't look like it's working out that well, I'll just ask you to go Soil. You're just going to Bladestorm, Thunderous War on every single ad set.
People
And that'll be
crying.
your AoE contribution. You also like Cleave and all that kind of stuff, but.
So having played both, Fury is like 10 times easier than Arms.
Yeah, but counterpoint, Arms is more comfortable for me to play.
No, fair. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't take too long to learn the 3-button rotation that is Fury.
You underestimate my ability to fucking fail simplicity.
Dude, if you can do the warrior equivalent of Arcane Mage, you should be able to do the warrior equivalent of Frost Mage.
I can
Surely I'll figure something. I mean, my Demolish spec, right, has seen me doing fighting keys. It's actually like quite the pumper when I set up properly. So assuming I set up properly for the ads, it'll be arguably just as good as Fury. So
Well, it's not gonna be as good as Fury. Well,
I mean, in terms of like instantaneous burst damage, I'm not saying like general consistency. Like, I'll fuck up the ads, but my overall damage may not be like the best spread across everything.
I can kind of like feel that, because I could play Demo and Affliction like pretty damn well, and then you get me on Destro, and I was like, the more simpler spec, and I was like brain dead. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. But that luckily changed this season.
Oh my goodness, they're running an interesting comp here. Alrighty. let me post this. So this is rank 1 arms for broodtwister. What is it? This is just the parasite section which we've been dealing with. And while arms isn't as high as Fury, like Fury would be like approaching that unholy decay. It's decent enough.
Oh, look, it's the rank 2 lock as well.
Like realistically, this arms warrior kind of just stays in the same place as 6-foot ad DPS. What is it? I believe this build it's Slayer with Cleave. Yeah, Slayer with Cleave, Dreadnought, no Skull Splitter, no Merciless Bone Grinder. They put up Ignore Pain, interesting.
I think that's just for survivability if they get like overlapping mechanics and they don't have anything for it.
Yes. But yeah, what is it? Arms isn't anything like Philly, but if we have the comp that I think we're winning. Granted, the only person who I'm like a bit unsure and why I put tentative is Chill. Mainly just because Shadow Priest is like middle of the pack for boss damage, but it like does absolutely fuck all for ads. It's basically what is it? What's a good who's similar in this damage breakdown? I'm going to go with the fact that the Vengeance Demon Hunters are like beating out the Shin Rogues. Like, it's not as bad as the BM Hunter that's here just for boss damage, but they're basically playing that role. Oh my goodness, this is a 3 tank, 2 Vengeance Demon Hunter, 1 Brewmaster comp. I wouldn't bet that the Brewmaster is one of the main tanks. But yeah, as long as we can provide decent AoE, I'm good. If the parasites go too long, you'll hear me say like, hey, can anyone swap into any more AoE? Because realistically,
Really,
the only way that we die is because of ads.
really sad that one of Demo's talents for like implosion damage, it's just hella undertuned. We used to run it like crazy in like, I think like season 2 of Dragonflight. And it was so good. But now it's so undertuned that it just like undersims on everything.
Okay, let me end this recording so I can start uploading this.